Hello and welcome again to another action-packed edition of the official EFL podcast. We'll be covering all three leagues on today's show, with Joby McAnuff talking all things Sky Bet Championship, and we also have an exclusive interview with new Barrow manager and Blackburn legend David Dunn. But first, our focus has to be on that all-important Sky Bet League One playoff final. Here's how both Oxford and Wycombe booked their place at Wembley.
Harness. He squeezed it in! Marcus Harness for Portsmouth, who take the lead at the Kassam and go in front on aggregate. Henry with the corner. Towards Bass. Oh, was it over the line? Referee's had a look at his watch to see the goal line technology, and it is an equaliser for Oxford United. So we're going to a penalty shootout at the Kassam to decide who goes through to the League One playoff final from this semi-final. It's Marquis up against Simon Eastwood in the first of the penalty shootout. And it's successful. Woodburn to try and level it up. Alex Bass in the Portsmouth goal. And he's done so. 1-1. Oh, that's a terrific second penalty for Portsmouth. Ford to level things up. And he's just done so, beyond the reach of Bass. Lee Brown. Portsmouth in the first leg of this semi-final. No doubt about that. An emphatic finish from the fullback. He got some power behind that. 3-3. And Eastwood saves. It's advantage Oxford. Alex Bass stands in the way. John Massinho will take. Oxford's penalties have been terrific, and they are now in front. Ollie Hawkins must score, otherwise Oxford are going to Wembley. And he does. Brannigan very, very carefully places this ball. Brannigan to take Oxford to Wembley. And they are going to Wembley Stadium for the League One playoff final.
Here's Burns. Kept alive and nodded away by Stewart and driven back in. Oh, it's a sweet, sweet hit from Danny Andrew. Further forward, Fleetwood will try and play. They've been absolutely dominant so far. Here's Anya Dinman. Electric pace, tries to run around Suter. Oh, Suter's given it straight back! Fred Anya Dinman for Wycombe. And all of that good work from Fleetwood undone in the blink of an eye. Now Coots. Getting these nice pictures, and that's a poor challenge. Now they have a penalty. Jacobson it was. On Mackay. It's Evans, and Fleetwood lead 2-1 now. They're going to lose on the night, it would seem. They will not matter to them, although Anya Dinman looking for an equaliser. Oh, that's a super goal. He's second of the night, and he sends Wycombe to Wembley. The fairy tale continues.
Now joining us to discuss the matches, probably the biggest expert on the League One playoff final that we could find. That man is, of course, Simon Grayson. What makes these teams, what they are? What makes them, so special to be in this final?
Well, I think they've got a strong mentality. They both know how to win matches, hence why they've got to the playoffs in the first place and through the semi-finals. I think they've got different ways of playing, but they've found ways to win football matches right the way through the season. I think also at the start of the season, I think the two clubs that didn't probably have the huge amount of expectancy levels put on them, apart from the managers and the players within the squad, because a lot of people were expecting the likes of Portsmouth and Sunderland, the bigger clubs in the division, it switched to go automatic and potentially through the playoffs as well. But very different contrasting styles, both got match winners, both got a hunger, desire and a spirit about them.
Yeah, let's talk about those contrasting styles. It seems that Oxford are the entertainers of League One this season, alongside probably Peterborough, whereas Wycombe have been seen as a more pragmatic team at times. Is that a fair assessment from what you've seen this season?
Yeah, I would say so. Different styles created from the managers, their own beliefs, philosophies. But you've got to play to the strengths that you've got within your squad. There's no point trying to play a certain way if you haven't got players to do that. I think Carl's fortunate. He's got some better technical footballers, wants to play out from the back and through the lines. Gareth at Wycombe has got more of a emphasis on a team that are working hard and picking up second balls, playing up the strikers, working it down the side. But equally as effective, hence why they're both going to be in this playoff final and playing to the strengths, balls in the box. So it will be a mixed bag of styles, but certainly you could not say that one's better than the other because they've both been successful this season.
Yeah, it's both managers' first experience of a League One playoff final as well. How will they be feeling personally ahead of an occasion like this? I know it's a bit strange with the current circumstances, but still a massive game for both clubs.
Yeah, they'll be excited. They are apprehensive and nervous as well because all the hard work that they've done over the course of the season is now going down to one game. Said all along that if you're to win in a playoff final, even better with the supporters, is to do it at Wembley because you savour the day and the supporters savour the day. But this is going to be quite slightly strange that there's going to be no supporters there. I think when you look at both managers, Carl has got experience of being a manager for a longer time. When I was at Huddersfield, we beat him in a semi-final. So he'll have drawn his experience with Derek Fasakali alongside him. Gareth has probably got a little bit of an advantage in terms of how to deal with a final, because I think he played in a couple of different clubs. So he's seen the perspective of what it's like to go there as a player, which I drew back my experience from my first Wembley appearance when I was at Blackpool as a manager, that I was involved in four finals at Wembley. And it was good to draw back from the positives and the negatives that you took out of them days.
Did you approach it differently in your first playoff final with Blackpool as a manager than you would maybe do now?
I think now you're a lot wiser and you're a lot more experienced. I was lucky that I had Tony Parks, who was somebody old alongside me who'd been there and done it. So I don't think you approach it too much differently. You try and do all your preparation leading up to the game at your training ground, and you're hopeful then that the players have taken on board what you're looking to do against the opposition. And I think the biggest factor I think anybody can take out of this experience now is you've got to play the game and not the occasion. You can't be getting away from what you've done over the last 46 games and the two semi-final games. You've just got to make sure you carry out your game plan and don't be the one that's trying to win it individually. Yes, within the realms of the game, you want somebody to go and win the game, but stick to the core beliefs that your manager has stressed to you over the season.
But looking at how both these teams performed over both legs in the semi-finals, who impressed you the most? Both obviously got to the final in different ways.
Well, I think when you look at the Oxford-Portsmouth game, that was going to be really tight anyway. Everybody knew that. There was two of the better teams, both desperate to get to the final and not much in it, as it proved with going to the penalty shootout right at the end there. I think Wycombe, to go to Fleetwood and win the first leg 4-1 was really impressive against a Fleetwood team that got some good players and would have been favourites on the night. And I think also what they did was as well, Wycombe, they showed the resilience when it got a little bit nervous for them with Fleetwood scoring so early and and then going 2-1 up, and then it was all about making sure they do whatever they can do to get through, defending with their lives. And I think Gareth loves that mentality which he shows to his players with backs against the wall, and I think that was a real impressive performance for him. Again, two different types of ways of getting to the final.
Yeah, looking at how the teams have performed in the season, Oxford haven't lost in their last 5 games against Wycombe and beat them earlier in the season. Will that mean anything in the final, do you think?
I don't think so. I think both managers will be using it to their own advantage. Carl will be saying, look, we've on this run of beating Wycombe, so let's keep it going, let's be positive. Gareth, on the other hand, will be saying, well, we due a win against them. Records are there to be broken. We can put an end to this record against them. So I think both managers will use it to their advantage, but I don't think it plays a massive part because there's so much difference in terms of how both teams are going to play, and it'll be who executes the plan on the day that is going to come out successful.
But looking at some of the individual players on show now, though, and Joe Jacobson, quite an interesting one at Wycombe, has incredibly scored 3 times this season from corners. Is that now something that you would prepare your team for if you were Carl Robinson? Obviously, they scored so freshly in that impressive first leg win over Fleetwood.
I think what Carl will be doing, he'll be re-emphasising to his team, sort of, you've got to be switched on. First and foremost, don't try and give needless set pieces away if you can do, but ultimately then get your plays in the right areas, make sure your goalkeeper's alert, your defenders are alert, and you're just hopeful that Joe doesn't deliver the balls that he can do, but ultimately everybody's on the toes and defending it properly. And I think I saw that Craig Short had gone in and done a little bit of work with Oxford in terms of doing some defensive and attacking set pieces with them. So I think Carl's looking at every opportunity to nullify the effect of the opposition. Is
that something that you've ever sort of prepared for, though, knowing that a team could be a threat not just from a corner, but from scoring directly from the corner?
Well, certainly that you've got to make sure that you do have the players in the right positions, and you can tweak them round with whoever you feel has got a better input into the game. So with Jacobson, you know he's going to be whipping in things. You want your people in around the near post and around your goalkeeper to be positive, alert, as we said. So yeah, you adapt your situations to make sure that you combat that strength of the opposition.
Let's switch the attention to Oxford's James Henry now. He's had his best year on paper yet, scoring 14 goals and getting 10 assists. How crucial is it for a side when you've got a winger producing those sort of numbers?
I think it's great for a team to be able to rely on other players and not just your centre forwards. Matty Taylor's scored plenty of goals for Oxford this year, but they've had a host of other players that have been chipping in quite regularly. I think when you look at Oxford as a team, James Henry, in the past at Millwall and Wolves, has played as a real out-and-out winger, really going on the outside and putting balls in the box. Where Carl plays his teams with his outside men coming in a little bit narrow, getting more central. He's got a fantastic shot on him as James, and I think a lot of his goals will have come from outside the box. But he's getting into the box more from them wide areas centrally. And also, I think he's been playing centre midfield as well at times. So he's using his strengths of being able to really use the ball well, passing range, but ultimately executing shots from outside the box in and around it.
Finally, I know I asked a similar question last week, but it's obviously your expert subject, but just talk us through playoff final day. What does it take to be such a successful team in such an all or nothing game?
Well, you've got to have the focus, and you've got to make sure your players don't freeze. We've seen a lot of people go to Wembley and not be able to handle the occasion. It is slightly different this year with no supporters because you haven't got that nervousness as much. There's going to be nerves playing without a shadow of doubt because promotion is on the line still. But when there's 30 or 50, 60,000, 70,000, nerves can be cranked up a little bit more. But the players just have to, I've always stressed to my players to make sure that you have no regrets when you come off that pitch, whether you've won, lost or draw. You've given everything. You've gone out. You've made your supporters proud, your family proud. And if you've lost the game, well, you have to accept that because there can only be one winner at times. But again, going back to what we said earlier, make sure you do what your coach and your manager has asked you to do, and don't be just sort of going off ad hoc and getting away from what you've done over the course of a long season, because stick to a game plan. You've got a great opportunity of winning a football match and ultimately promotion to the Championship, which is an unbelievable league at this moment in time. And for two clubs like Oxford and Wycombe, and not being disrespectful to them, I don't think either of them would have expected to be in this position come the start of the season.
Well, let's hope for another exciting game. Simon, thanks again for your time this week.
No worries.
Now, Joby McAnuff joins us to preview the Sky Bet Championship. We'll start at the top. We won't talk about Leeds, as you'll be covering their match against Stoke City for Sky around the time that the show goes out, actually. But how much have Brentford proved, though, after the restart now? Sure, they can beat the big teams like West Brom and come back against the sides who are fighting for their lives, like we saw against Charlton the other night.
Yeah, for me, Brentford certainly have been the team of the restart. Fantastic form so far. 5 wins out of 5. An incredible run. And as you say, they've beaten the teams at the top, which will be massive for them in terms of, 1, trying to gate crash that top 2. And 2, if they don't make it, having those wins against teams they could possibly face in the playoffs. And obviously, as well, against those teams that are scrapping for their lives and possibly different types of games. And, that was proven by that win against Charlton coming from a goal down. And I'm sure that would really have pleased Thomas Frank, the different types of performances they're able to put in at the moment.
How much of an incentive is it as well for that squad to be chasing the top 2? Not the same pressure as Leeds and West Brom have got on their shoulders, as they've got the expectation of going up.
Yeah, it can be a good position to be in. Listen, I'm sure you'd rather be sitting in the Leeds and West Brom changing room at the moment in terms of the position that they're in. But certainly coming back, the pressure is on those teams. So Brentford, them a chance to really just go and have a good crack at it, really. They've pretty much cemented their place in those playoff positions. And they're in a good position to go and really attack the top 2. They can go out, express themselves, try and get the results they need. And that can be a dangerous position. Certainly I'm sure West Brom have been looking over their shoulders and Leeds going into their game, knowing that pressure is on. And I fancy Brentford to win probably most of the remaining games. So that pressure will still be there by the end of the season, I'm sure.
And we've seen, obviously we've talked about individuals in that team, but we've seen how good Said bin Rama has been since coming back as well. A lot of speculation about him getting a move to Chelsea. Sometimes that affects players, but do you think it could be motivating him to perform consistently as well, knowing that those sort of teams are looking at him?
Oh, for sure. For me, he is, one of the standout players in the Championship. He's proved that, and this season, he's been fantastic, along with obviously Ollie Watkins and Mbeumo as well. Form a real potent attacking force. But clearly, since the restart, he's been really the talisman, the man that scored important goals. And really, that speculation has come as a result of that form, of course. There's some massive clubs interested in him. I think from his own point of view, he'll be wanting to get Brentford promoted because it maybe gives an opportunity to remain there and play regularly, which I think is going to be an important next step of his development. Clearly, even if they do go up, it's still going to be difficult to keep hold of him, but it might just give them an opportunity to offer him that regular first team football at Premier League level. Whatever happens for me, that's where he's going to end up next year. And I'm sure Brentford will be hoping that, he'll be able to be with them.
Yeah, certainly been one of the stars of the Championship this season. But West Brom, looking at them now, they really have proved themselves over the last 3 games as well, after a start which was, to be questioned a little bit. What has been the turning point for them, do you think?
I think probably that loss to Brentford. I think sometimes it takes a result like that to give you a kick up the backside, let's say. I think they came into it in a good position, but that really, I think, would have shook them up a little bit. I've heard Slaven Bilic talking about them having to deal with the pressure and the fact that, he wouldn't trade their position with anybody else's, which is absolutely right. They're very much in a driving seat. And, I think sometimes it can take a defeat to do that. And clearly their results since, picking up 3 wins on the back now and really getting into that good bit of form at just the right time. They were very, very good last night. I thought they were very well organised. They've always carried a threat. Again, with their forwards and the amount of goals they score, for me, is what could prove the difference and really get them over the line this season.
Let's turn to Brentford's opponents now, next to a derby. They haven't beaten a top 6 team this season. Quite a remarkable stat, really, if you think about it. But we were talking about them so positively last week. But that stat has to change if they're going to get into those playoffs, surely.
Yeah, absolutely. And particularly with the games and the running that they've got, they're going to need points, and they're going to need to take points off teams in those positions. So, I think having watched them the last 2 games, they've just looked to me, though, they've just run out of steam a little bit. I think, again, we talk about squads and the importance of big squads and big players being able to come on and make an impact. I looked at that team yesterday. Really the young lads coming on are doing great, but they haven't really got that experience within that squad to maybe come in and change a game. And yeah, they haven't been great the last 2 games. They were very fortunate to nick a point against Forest, and again last night won't be particularly pleased with their performance. So they've really got to get themselves going. I think it's a tough task for them, but they've given themselves a shot with the form leading up to this period of time. And I think from their point of view, they've just got to go all out now and try and get some wins on the board to take them into those playoff places. Yeah,
like you say, a lot of young players in that team. But another team who you did have high hopes for before the lockdown were Bristol City. Things haven't gone right for them since the restart, and Lee Johnson has now lost his job. Was it a case of maybe the board running out of patience, do you think, in terms of his sacking?
Yeah, a little bit. I felt it was a bit harsh, particularly at this stage of the season. I think overall, when you look at the job he's done, he's improved their league position year after year. And that is in, as well as having to get rid of some players and big players at that, and, I think he spoke about their policy there of developing players and then selling them on. And it's not helpful for a manager when you're losing, key players, captains and players that you're selling for 20 million and 12. They're very hard to replace. I don't think they've quite done that. And he still kept them very competitive. And I personally felt this year they could still mount a challenge for that playoff place. But, they've just really fallen away badly, particularly the last, pre-lockdown and obviously coming back since. They've been on a real barren run of form, really. And again, I can see maybe the board's point of view in terms of they don't see them breaking into that top 6 now. So they're deciding on making a change to maybe freshen it up for next. For me, a team like Bristol should be at the very, very least, challenging for that top 6 place.
Yeah, the win for them against Hull the other night, though, as well, since Lee Johnson's sacking. Does a manager getting sacked sometimes give players a wake-up call, do you think?
Yeah, listen, I'm sure he would have been at home keeping a keen eye on that result. And, it's a horrible one for managers because you often see that performance level rise, or maybe that instant impact, which again, sometimes is a reason for managers losing their jobs. And I'm sure the players would be disappointed to see him go. Again, a lot of those lads have worked with him over a long period of time, and they've had relative success. But at the same time, as a manager, unfortunately, the buck stops with you. I think anyone in that position and knows the game knows that's the case. And we've seen it again so many times in the past. Once that manager leaves for whatever reason, the next result often is a positive one. So, from them, the players' point of view, they want to obviously keep it going and have a positive end to the season, I'm sure. And then once the decision's made on who that manager is, it's time to really get to work and get into those playoff places. I think that's really the aim for everyone at Bristol City.
And looking at the favourite for the job, Chris Hughton, proven track record, obviously, at the Championship, in the Championship. Good appointment for them, potentially?
Oh, undoubtedly. I think, his CV speaks for itself. He's a fantastic manager who's had success everywhere he's gone, really. Getting promoted with Newcastle in real difficult times. I think that must be said, having been relegated and really restricted in terms of what he could do there. But it's very harshly sacked at that job. Norwich as well actually did well there. Didn't obviously get promoted, and obviously at Brighton to get promoted. And again, on limited resources compared to some other teams. And again, he wasn't even in the relegation places when he got sat there either. So, I certainly feel he's been harshly done by a couple of previous clubs, but a real good track record of getting clubs up. Also dealing with that expectation, which is a big thing, which he's handled very well. He's a very calm man. And I think that transfers onto the players. And, for me, it would be a fantastic addition for Bristol City to make, and one that certainly would give them a great opportunity of searching for that elusive promotion.
Yeah, you feel he's been very unfortunate in terms of his sackings. Mick McCarthy, another man linked with that job as well, we should say. But let's turn our attention now to Bristol City's opponents this weekend. A huge win for them, Neil Warnock's Middlesbrough in midweek. Do you think that appointment has saved them from the drop potentially?
I wouldn't say it saved them yet, Ben. They've got a bit of work to do. I think what it's given them certainly is a bit of belief. I think we've spoken about how a manager can go in and have an immediate impact, and clearly he did that when he first went in. Lost a couple of games, tight ones, but then again another big win last night, and that's now 2 wins in 4 games. Which prior to that, they weren't accumulating the points that they would have needed to stay up. And he's certainly given them a chance. For me, they probably need another 4 points to be absolutely sure, given what's going on. Of course, there's issues around Wigan, which I'm sure we'll touch on soon. But yeah, listen, he's given them a fighting chance. And one thing he knows how to do at this level is win football matches. And, I think they've got a good opportunity of avoiding the drop now.
I did say potentially save them from relegation, but staying with the teams at the bottom, and another huge win for Wigan, as you've just mentioned. You've just talked about Wigan, obviously. It's been a tough few weeks for them, but they're not going down without a fight, are they? No,
listen, they have been in fantastic form. They've been, brilliant, really, in terms of the results they've picked up. At one point in the season, looked like they could be in a bit of trouble, but I think that would be the most disappointing thing for Paul Cook and everyone else involved at the football club, the players, the effort they've put in on the training ground, on the football pitch to get those results. And it seems as though something, off the pitch and in the boardroom could have such a negative impact on them. So, I'm, for one, really hoping that they can avoid relegation, whatever way it is, whether it is, behind the scenes or actually with their results on the football pitch, because I think they deserve it. Again, you want to be judged for what you're doing on a Saturday, on a Tuesday night. And for me, certainly their form, they don't deserve to be relegated from a football point of view. And I'd be very disappointed to see if those outside influence result in them going down this year.
Yeah, but 3 huge games coming up for them now as well. How much of a boost is it for them to be playing those teams that are in and around them at this stage of the season, if they are going to be in that relegation battle?
Well, it really depends what way you look at it, Ben. I think for me, there's obviously an opportunity to put a bit more distance between yourself and those teams around you. But all those teams are scrapping. They're all fighting. They're all battling to stay in this league. And they can be very, very difficult matches. And, you lose against someone directly around you. It's not just 3 points. We talk about it a lot, and from their point of view, yes, there is an opportunity, but they're going to be difficult games for them. And, again, hopefully from their point of view, they can, get through that well enough to stay up.
Well, Barnsley are one of those teams that they face. I think it's fair to say it will be a miracle if they stay up based on the games that they've got left. Is it a case if they don't win this, that they are down? Because obviously they are running out of games.
Yeah, again, listen, you never want to write anyone off until mathematically they're gone. But clearly this is a game they need to take points in. When you look at their run-in, Leeds, Forest, Brentford to come, that is as tough as it gets, and for a team down there, it's very difficult to see them picking up many points from those games. So certainly for me, if they've got any chance of staying up, they need 3 points in this game. And I'm sure they'll see it as a big opportunity to get 3 points. And it could just give them a lift going into those other matches against some of those other teams, which, as I say, there's no gimmies in this league. This is what makes it such a great spectacle and why it's so entertaining year after year. And, they won't be thinking they're dead and buried, even if they don't win. But for me, they need to get 3 points if they're going to stay up this season.
Yeah, so much going on at the top and the bottom of the division. Joby, we'll have to leave it there. Enjoy Leeds v Stoke later on today.
Will do. Look forward to it.
Rhodes lurking. Duff on the half clears as far as Stewart, just outside the penalty area. Clips it central for David Dunn. David Dunn equalises. It just had to be. Cometh the hour. Cometh the man.
So David Dunn joins me now. David, congratulations on getting the Barrow job, first of all. How did it come about, you getting this position?
To be honest, it's happened really quickly. I got a call, obviously, when Ian Evatt went to Bolton. I think I got a call the next day, just asking, what my position were and stuff like that. So, I'm just really excited and really grateful to be given the opportunity to come in here as manager and hopefully carry the momentum on from what was a really good season last year. Hopefully we can carry it on.
I know you had that spell at Oldham before, but did you always want to get back into management? Was that always the idea that you would one day become a manager again?
Well, I always had a little idea that I wanted to, but I was really enjoying. I like coaching. I want to be on the grass with the lads. So yeah, and I mean the Oldham one was player manager. Really difficult time for everyone involved in the club. But looking back, I wasn't ready. I was inexperienced. So probably wasn't the right time for me at the time. But having said that, learnt so many lessons in that short space of time, which hopefully will stand me in good stead. But to answer your question, I wasn't really thinking about managing whatsoever. Blackpool was, become really close to me. And I've loved my time there, and they've been excellent to me since I stepped through the door there. So, I have a lot of fond memories there.
I was speaking off camera about Simon Grayson. He told me today that you asked him for his advice about the job as well. How influential has he been in getting you back into management? Obviously, like you say, you were his assistant at Blackpool and you did the caretaker role as well. Yeah,
well, to be honest, I don't think I'd be sat in the seat if it weren't for Simon, because he gave me the opportunity to go back into coaching at Blackpool. As everyone knows, unfortunately, it didn't quite work out for the team there. But it was probably the 4 games in the caretaker role after that tough period that probably whet my appetite to do it again. So you never quite know when you're going to get an opportunity, and that's why I've spoke not just to Simon but to quite a few people I know in the game to see what they thought, and everyone was pretty unanimous to go and have another crack at it. Yeah.
I'm sure Simon would be delighted that you said that about him, but I know it's never the easiest of circumstances when you take over as a caretaker manager as you did, but how much did you enjoy the challenge of getting back into management with Blackpool?
It was really good, and you mentioned Simon there. I wouldn't have. I actually spoke to Simon about it, and I wouldn't have done that job if he weren't happy with me doing it. I was more than happy to. When the club proposed that to me, I knew I couldn't do it unless I got the blessing from Simon. So I wouldn't have done it if he wasn't happy with it, because like I said, I'm really grateful to him for giving me the opportunity to get back into football. And Simon will come back again. He's an excellent manager, got a proven track record, and I'm sure he'll bounce back really quick.
How exciting is it as well to join a team who are on the up like this as well? Obviously, usually when you get a job in management, it's on the back of a poor run of form for a team, but it's a really unique situation, this, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the last, the last time I got the opportunity at Oldham, we got beat 5-1 off, I think, Peterborough. So yeah, it's a little bit different, but the club's going in the right direction, and that's another reason why I've took the job on. They've as soon as I come through the door and speak to the owners, I feel good about it. They have a I have a good feeling about them. I think they're good people to work for. So hopefully I can repay them and hopefully get some good results as a manager.
As you say, Ian Everett's done such a good job, of course, earning that promotion. Is it about building on his work now, or do you have to implement your own philosophy?
Of course, you have to implement your own stamp on it. But you know what? I'm not one of them that's going to come in here and reinvent the wheel. I don't think I don't think you need to. I think Ian, as you rightly say, has done a tremendous job in getting them promoted last season. So yeah, we need to carry that on. Of course, I'm going to have my own ideas and I'm going to tweak things and I'm going to bring my own players in, and you know, looking forward to working with the players that are already here and hopefully improving them as well. So yeah, looking forward to the whole package really.
You're representing an area as well which has got a lot of potential to grow. You know, not a lot of teams nearby, of course. Is that something that excites you as well, that you've got that representation? Yeah,
of course. I mean, even coming through I've been to quite a few games last year, watching various players and teams and stuff when I was in work. So yeah, I think as soon as you come through the turnstiles, you kind of get that feeling that everyone in this area is on board. Barrow is the club, and they want them to, really, really do well. So, it's a community feel to it, and as soon as supporters are allowed to come back in the stadiums to support the team, I'm sure it'll be a really good atmosphere, and they'll make it that. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
48 years as well since Barrow last played in the EFL. How important is it for you and the club that you keep them in the league now this season? How important is that for not just for you, but for the club and the area?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we're going to be underdogs in the league, but that's fine. We can quietly go about our business in the right way, and you never know, we might surprise a few. But we just want to try and prepare the team as best they can, make sure they're fit. Make sure the players are all ready to go come whatever date the league gives us.
And you've had obviously so many different challenges and opportunities in your career. You've played for England, you've played in the Premier League, but is this right up there with all those challenges and opportunities that you've had?
Role in management, which is exciting for me. It's a big challenge. I just look around. I see things happening. Even the stadium. I was having a conversation the other day with someone, and I make you don't need to apologise for if it's not the Premier League kind of standard. It's it is what it is. Barrow, down to earth people. The club's come from non-league into the Football League now, and looking forward to making them small strides. To improve the club in a whole capacity of ways, So, but I'm not daft enough to think that it's what happens on a Saturday afternoon generally, and hopefully we can get some wins.
And finally, I know we've touched on it, but is the ambition just to stay up next season, or do you have bigger ambitions than that? Do you think you can really challenge next year?
Well, I'm ambitious, and I know the club want to do well. But again, we've got to be realistic. We've got a lot of players that haven't got too much league experience in there. It is a little jump up, but I'm very confident that they can make that jump up. And obviously, with the players I'm going to try and bring in, I think we'll be competitive enough. So who knows? Let's get on a bit of momentum like they had last year, and hopefully surprise a few people.
David, congrats again, and thank you for your time, and good luck when the season finally restarts.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
That's it for the show. Hope you've enjoyed it, and remember to like and subscribe if you did. We'll be back next week with all the reaction from that League One playoff final. Bye for now.